What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are checking out the Bogner Ecstacy Mini. Let's do it! Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name's Kyle. Welcome! What I do is I take awesome high-gain amps, guitars, cabs, speakers, pickups, pedals, I record them with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you guys the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E-standard thrashers, dropsy hardcore riffs, and dudes with the top of their head getting cut off, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button on this video and subscribing on your way out. I am pushing really hard to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you like the content, I would really love to have you on board. Thanks! Nobody needs to see the top of your head anyway, because you are bald and stupid. Alright guys, so today we are checking out the last of the mini amp series that was recently released from Boutique Amp Distribution. This is the Bogner Ecstacy Mini. If you want to see the other 3 videos, I will link them down below in the description, but yeah, this is the last in the lineup of the 4 mini heads that was recently released. And as you might suspect, this one is based on the Bogner Ecstacy. So these mini amps seem to have stirred up a lot of controversy, a lot of talk, especially in the online forums and the Facebook groups where people are basically just wondering, are these cash grabs? Do these things serve any sort of purpose whatsoever? And can you really get any usable tones out of them? So I have been diving into these amps, trying to explore them, see what types of tones that we can get out of them, and that's essentially what we're going to be doing here today. So for the intro track, I was using my LTD EC401 Vintage Flame. This has a Seymour Duncan JB in the bridge. I had a Boss SD1 on out in front of the amp, and we will talk about how well this amp takes boosts in a second. We are going into my Mesa Traditional 4x12 with the stock Vintage 30s, and I have an SM57 directly on that V30. And real quick, before we get started, I wanted to send a huge thank you to my friends at Sweetwater who made this video possible, because they sent me this amp along with the other mini amps in order for me to make this video and the other videos for you guys. So if you end up liking what you hear in this video or any of the other mini amp videos, I have a Sweetwater affiliate link down in the description of this video. If you guys purchase any of these amps through that link, I get a little bit of a commission, so it really helps me out. And honestly, who doesn't want to buy new products from Sweetwater if you're shopping new, because they are the best in the business. But with that being said, just because they sent me this amp in order to make this video for you guys, it's not going to change my opinion. It's not going to change how I look at this amp. You're going to get my honest thoughts and opinions as you always do. So keep that in mind. So let's go ahead, let's put, well, I just changed the volume, so that's going to be a pain. Let's put all the EQ controls back to noon. We've got a presence, we've got a treble, a middle, a bass, and then we have a gain control. Up here we have a few different switches that control different voicing, different EQs over here on the right. We've got a gain plus or minus switch. We had it in the plus position to start off. And then over here there is a variac control. So we're gonna kinda get in here and check most of those out. Now I will tell you right off the bat, if you're here for the crunchy blues, rock, and dad riffs, you're in the wrong place, because as I stated at the beginning of this video, I play E-standard thrash riffs, I play dropsy hardcore riffs. So plenty of other videos to get what you want if that's what you're looking for, but if you like the high gain stuff, if you like getting belligerent and ignorant, you're in the right place. So let's go ahead, let's flip this amp on. I've got the gain at 9 o'clock, I've got the gain switch in the minus position, and we're just gonna see what happens when we basically flip this thing on with everything at noon. Both of the voicing controls are also in the neutral or the middle section. All right, I hate it. End of video.
You know what this wall is missing?
But for real, this is definitely not going to be the setting for you. If you like high gain, starting off, it is pretty muffled. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna boost the treble, and we're gonna get a little bit more presence here to kind of make this thing come alive. All right, so you really have to push the treble and the presence as well as the mids in this particular setting to get this thing to kind of come alive, to put some sparkle and presence in the top end. One of the first things that I'm noticing, I have owned a number of Bogner amplifiers. I have not owned any of the Ecstacy series amps, but I've owned the Shiva, the Helios Eclipse, a couple of the Uberschalls, and I've never really bonded with the low mids of the Bogner sound, and I can very much hear the low mids are present in this amp, so it's already got kind of that Bogner low mid thing going on. I'm gonna go ahead and just continue to bump this gain up. The gain has almost like a little bit of a rattiness to it. I'm actually going to pull back the mids and the treble just a tad. Yeah, we still just don't have a whole lot of gain going on. I'm gonna push it up to noon. All right, so the gain is kind of starting to get up there. We're a little bit past the crunch territory. The Bogner sound just has a very congested mid-range. The low mids are just kind of bloated in my opinion for my personal taste, and I'm definitely hearing that in the amp here. I'm bumping the treble and the presence a little bit to get a little bit more top end sparkle, and we're gonna push that gain up quite a bit here. All right, so we are starting to get some pretty decent saturation. Let's go ahead and just max that bad boy out. I would say as it is right there, it is pretty saturated. So let's move over to these voicing switches. We've got a pre-EQ, which this seems to kind of tailor the low end going into the front of the amp and tighten things up a little bit. Let's try the first setting. That tightens up the amp significantly. It gives it a little bit of a quicker feel under the right hand as well. It makes the amp feel not so stiff and loose. Let's go over to the second setting. That's kind of in between the neutral and the first setting that we just tried. It's a little bit more low mids coming through than the first setting, but not quite as much as on the neutral setting. All right, so overall, I don't like how this sounds at the moment, but we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna kick that gain switch in. And just like that, the gain structure becomes much less crunchy and much more forward, much smoother and more saturated. We're getting some noise through the speakers because we've got a lot of gain going on. All right, so right now we have next to no low end. Let's bump that low end up pretty significantly. I've also got a little bit too much mid and a little bit too much treble, so let's pull those back both just a tad. I do not hate that at all. So the second voicing switch that we have over here, it's a mid frequency. So there's a neutral, which is where we're at. There's an L and there's an H. I'm gonna assume that that's a low and a high mid frequency. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm liking how this is sounding quite a bit. I want more presence, but I want a little bit less treble. The way that we have it dialed now, it's nice and percussive for the palm mutes. Those low mids are no longer bloated. I will say that overall this seems to be lacking a little bit of clarity though. It doesn't have a whole lot of string definition. I'm gonna bump that gain up just a tad. We already have a lot of gain going at the moment. I'm gonna get a little bit more mids going. Alright, so yeah, overall it sounds pretty good right now. The gain, the saturation, it's a little dry, a little bit scratchy for me, so we're gonna go ahead and bump that up to 1 o'clock. Alright, so that has definitely increased the low mid kind of grunt or growl. Let's see if we switch this frequency over into the high setting, if that will help that out at all. Alright, so it does kind of, but we also still have a little bit too much low end. Let's go back over to that first setting on the pre-EQ. I'm not sure which one is better. Alright, so overall it's a little bit on the congested side. When you bump the gain up high enough to use it to get a really saturated tone out of just the amp, wow, alright, I didn't turn my volume down on my computer. But anyways, when you bump the gain up high enough to get a really saturated tone, it definitely starts increasing that low mid kind of muddiness that's going on there. Alright, so overall with no boost in front, I like it. It needs a little bit more high mid aggression for my personal taste. It's very saturated and kind of compressed sounding at the moment. Let's see if we bump this gain back a little bit and we kick that Boss SD1 back in, what type of tone we'll have then. Alright, so also much like a distortion pedal, this amp seems to react weird to different overdrives out front. It seems to be, some of them push them a little too hard. The Boss SD1 is really the only one that I can get to react in a way that I really like. We do need more bass though, and I actually am gonna pull that mid back a little bit, and we're gonna add a little bit more treble to just get some nice aggression on that. Alright, so it really isn't doing all that great with the boost out in front in my opinion. It just kind of brings in a little bit too much noise. What I am going to do is I'm going to kick in an EQ pedal, and we're going to get a little bit of a boost in the output from the EQ pedal, but we're going to tailor some of the lows and low mids in order to tighten it up. Alright, so better still, but man, it's just missing a little something. What happens if we scoop these mids out a bit? Alright, so not super tight. There is a little bit of low-end woofiness, but it sounds, overall it sounds pretty good. I still think that it's a little congested in the mids. It's lacking some string clarity, but the tones that I'm getting out of it at the moment aren't bad at all. It sounds pretty usable. So I'm gonna swap to a guitar real quick with active pickups. We're gonna check out how this thing reacts to some Fishman Fluence pickups, and then maybe a drop C riff, and then we'll call it a day. All right, guys, so we have the Matt Heafy Origins Epiphone Les Paul here with the Matt Heafy signature Fishman Fluence pickups. Let's hear how it sounds. I have changed nothing other than turning that EQ pedal off. All right, guys, so it does not seem to be liking the actives very much. It almost seems like it's kind of overdriving it into the front of the amp. So let's actually put it in the passive setting. So the passive voicing is a little bit less hot. Let's bump that gain up, but let's bring the bass back a good bit, and let's get some more mids going. I think if we actually put this pre-EQ back in the middle and try that SD1 again, it might react a little bit better. Actually, yes, I do think that that sounds better. Let's get a little bit more treble. All right, so it's reacting to the overdrive better, but it just does not like these pickups particularly whatsoever. I'm gonna switch back to the other guitar. We're gonna try a drop C riff, and we're gonna call it a day. It does not sound good. That does not sound good. Let's try the drive off. Let's put the pre-EQ back in the B1 setting. All right, so it does sound better, a little bit more open, but it's just this amp, it really gets congested when you push the gain on top of the congestion it already has. So that sounds better. It's a little tighter. It's got some more saturation, but it just sounds really muffled. Let's turn that mid up. Oh, yeah, I don't like it, but one more riff. Anyways, that's gonna do it for me today, guys. What did you think about this amp? Try to erase the last few riffs that I just played from your mind, because this did really not lend itself to drop tunings at all, but I thought we got some pretty good tones out of the E standard thrash riffs and stuff. Still, again, not my favorite, but I don't tend to generally like the Bogner voicing in general because of that kind of congested and like chewy lower mid-range thing going on. Most of those amps seem to have it, so wasn't really personally expecting to like this one anyways, but yeah, that was my experience. What did you guys think? What did you hear through your speakers that I did not hear here in the room? And if you own or if you have any experience with this amp, let me know what it is down in the comments, because I'm always really curious to see what you guys think. Thanks again to Sweetwater for sending this thing out to me. And again, if you guys want to help me out, if you want to help the channel and you're interested in purchasing this or really anything that Sweetwater carries, down in the description of this video are all my affiliate links, including my Sweetwater affiliate link. If you click any of those, it greatly helps the channel out, and I am massively appreciative of you. Thanks. Kyle here again. We'll see you guys next time.
You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.